we talking about? Well, tonight I wanted to start off with North Sober. Valid. Hey, that's not a problem. Is the music too loud, or is it just right? Because remember, I don't hear it the same way you guys do. Especially since I'm not wearing my headphones tonight. You don't hear. Now do you hear? Oh, I think I know what I did wrong. No, that should be right. Very quiet. Well, I don't want it too loud, but I want it background. If that makes sense. You don't hear because I'm not a big ear. This good? All right. So, I ran across a video tonight, before even streaming with Ghost and Raven, that kind of hit something in me, and it shocked me. So, we have done everything we possibly can to repress honest emotion. Yes? That is a very valid thing, Andy. Survival is very important. And it makes it tough. It makes it really tough. Especially when you're in a position not to be able to stand on your own. Like, we all have that. It's really friggin' hard. I've been there. I have actually been there. And, you know, I mean, well, we'll just start with that then. That's why it's so important that we need, and I know a lot of people are going to be surprised by this, but we need more social programs. You're sorry, don't be sorry. We need better social programs. Maybe not necessarily more, but we need more oversight over them. We need more people taking them seriously. I mean, who ever thought it was a good idea to privatize mass transit? Yeah, don't even get me started on food programs, and I guess we'll get into what I was going to talk about first later, and we'll talk about this first. I had a buddy a long time ago. He was legally blind, like he couldn't drive a car. But he wasn't blind enough to need, like, a cane or anything. Like, the world was a blur to him outside of a certain range. But he could work on computers. He could do office work. But it makes it really hard when you have to depend on either somebody else to get you there, because he didn't even feel comfortable riding a bike to work. I mean, it's that bad. Like, he couldn't drive. Okay, so you sound very similar to what he had. Because, yeah, he couldn't drive, but he wasn't officially blind, but he was legally blind. I think he had a -5. Okay. I think he had like a vision range of like 10 feet. Like, he could distinguish things within 10 feet. Outside of that, he couldn't see jack. Not really. And so he relied on public transport to get him back and forth to work. So he was chronically losing jobs. Oh no, this is with his glasses. Without his glasses, he couldn't see jack. With his glasses, he could get it out to 10 feet. Me, without my glasses, I can't see outside of 3 feet. Like, the screen is blurry to me. And this is a big screen. With my glasses, I can see it perfectly fine. So, I can correct the vision to a certain degree. I mean, I can drive, I can do all of that. But he was dependent so much on either other people or public transport to get him back and forth to work that he was constantly losing jobs. Like, all the time, he was losing jobs. There wasn't anything he could do. 2 or 3 times being late, job had to let him go. And 90% of the time, it was public transport's fault. And I'm just like, because he'd get like jobs and they'd have him be there at like 8 in the morning. Well, the first bus ran at like 7:30. And if it was even a hair late, he was late to work. And now, now rules are different. Like, there's adequate compensation and stuff like that. But I still think he'd lose. He'd lose a lot. So it's just the fact that whoever decided to privatize public transport and, whoever decided that public transport had to pay for itself. That's what we have taxes for. Because they don't get paid enough. Right, you don't have a bus stop out there. I don't know if we have a bus stop around here at all, where I am. Texas seems to be pretty soft on their public transport. Me personally, right. It's really hard. Right, everyone can use them. I've been to places like that. Me personally, Department of Transport needs to run public transport. Like, that's literally their job, is public transport. They're literally the federal Department of of Transportation. Why is it every state has their own Department of Transportation? And they still don't handle actual transportation. They just do roads. They're not the Department of Roads. They're the Department of Transportation. It shouldn't just be roads. It should be trains, light rail. Light rail. Also, if you combine it with light rail, which is light passenger, then you have light freight, which would be like, anything that comes in a... Monorails are notoriously bad, okay? I've been on the Seattle monorail. It's notoriously bad. No, Department of Motor Vehicles is something else entirely. That's basically a subdivision of the Department of Licensing. I'm talking about the federal government Department of Transportation, who runs all of the interstates. But your states have all of their highways and byways that they run. And welcome in, Infinite. Hey, I also really wanted MagRail, but come to find out that it's also not very good. We should just be using rails. Like regular train rails. Well, okay, here's the thing. If we're going to talk about public transportation, well, magnetic vehicles are so expensive to run, expensive to maintain. They require such specific engineering. It's ridiculous. Once you actually find out more about it, they're really not that good. But you take a concept from the 1920s, 1930s, streetcars. That's what we should be having. But no, General Motors had to buy them all up and trash them even though they worked perfectly fine. Or was it Ford? It was some car company. Yeah, S-Bahn. But the biggest problem with European rail, we shouldn't be emulating it. Okay, you would think of them as trolley. You know, in San Francisco, here comes the trolley. Right. Okay, that's basically a streetcar. They're ran electrically with the overhead lines. You drive. We wouldn't need to do it that way anymore. We could literally have much easier way to do it. We could actually just use magnetic induction through the rails themselves that wouldn't cause third rail injuries. Like in the subways, you know, they don't have that activated third rail because you just use magnetic induction through the rail wheels themselves. Like the passive charging of your phone, where you don't actually plug it in, but you can just, you know, wirelessly charge. But, you know, me personally, here's my thing. You take out 60% of the roads in a city and you replace them with streetcars. Well, you wouldn't want to emulate Europe. Sure, S-Bahn, that's beautiful. But once you get to the next country, they change the gauging of the rails, they change all of this, so you have to use that country's rails. You can't just switch. There's very few lines that actually go all the way through. And they've even done away with most of those. Like, a lot of people didn't realize that the Orient Express was a real rail. It's not there anymore. I mean, technically is, but yeah. Well, people are resisting the idea of walk-up cities, or what they call 15-minute cities. That you're never 15 minutes away from anything. Why would... Okay. Oh, I just thought you made a mess and you forgot to clean it up. But me personally, I think we need to do a... how do I put this? But I am clean. Okay. We need to socialize public transport. Remove 50 to 60% of the roads, make them, and don't even use buses. Unless you absolutely have to. Everything should be light rail because you can do that. Oh, but then traffic's gonna be worse. Actually, it'll be less. In fact, increasing the amount of roads you have available to you. No. I would say that Japan does not do this right. Because Japan still has those overcrowded rails. That means that they have induced demand beyond their capacity. Again, what I was going to say about roads. You forgot a comment. Well, that doesn't tell me where it is. When you increase the number of lanes in a road, you induce demand for people to use it. What you're actually doing is you're increasing the amount of traffic on that road. You reduce the number of lanes, you end up with actually making traffic better because people will find other ways around. It's counterintuitive. Ah, okay. No, I don't think Japan does it that way. Because if you see, they still have a whole bunch of people and they still have a whole bunch of cars. I mean, nowhere near the density of America, but nobody does. Nobody has the density of cars as America. Because we don't build cities for people to be able to just walk to. You know, I mean, it's like my thing. Do you want self-driving cars? What would you say if I told you we've had those for over a century? Right, but we've had self-driving cars for over a century. They're called railroads. And we have the ability to make... I knew you meant coexist. And we barely do that. Well, Amtrak's supposed to be run by the American government, only they privatized it. And so it runs like shit. We don't win. We don't freaking win. Because we keep privatizing this stuff rather than just letting it be taken out of our taxes. I mean, I don't even know what our taxes go for anymore because we keep privatizing stuff. We used to have, the federal government used to run all the utilities. You know, water, sewer, and garbage. Like, you didn't have to pay for those things. They came out of your taxes. Then they privatized them and made them worse. And yet we still have a crumbling infrastructure. Tequila. As a usual, normal. Dun, 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 dun. We used to have a whole lot of things that worked properly. Yes, tequila. Tequila. It's actually why I don't drink margaritas other than virgin margaritas, which I think are lovely. Me and tequila don't get along. Oh, no. See, tequila's not going to kill me. Tequila is going to kill anybody within a certain range of me. Unless I get very specific brands and very specific types. Otherwise, it makes me very, very angry. So I just don't drink it. But we have privatized so much that we don't have, as a government, we don't have control over it, pretty much anything anymore. We have to have businesses run our shit for us. Hey, it's a strawberry margarita. And it's just so frustrating to me to watch everything crumble, everything fall apart, because companies want to make it bigger, better, and faster, and when in reality all they want is the money.
Ale hydrate.
There you go. You know, and it bugs me. It bugs me very much because I've known so many people whose lives would have been so much better with just very applesauce, with very few tweaks. Like, I had this thought at one point. Now, I know that it's not a perfect solution. But me personally, I think we need to take away the public's ability to vote for the president, the governor. I think we need to just do away with Congress and Senate because they ain't doing shit anyway. The governors need to deal directly with each other and deal directly with the president. We don't need Congress and Senate. And we don't need to be voting for the president. I don't know about you, but I don't know who a good president would be. Presidents that I thought were going to be completely bad and the world, you know, would end. Well, okay, that's an entirely different argument, entirely different discussion, because I really don't think we do. Yes, I do, because they have the... Okay, again, it's like that idea of induced demand. We have so many avenues to talk to our government that we don't use. When was the last time you talked to your local ombudsman? The lowest form of government, the one that you're supposed to be able to talk to, the one that's supposed to represent you in local matters. Well, but that's the problem. Okay, so hear me out. So, okay, like I was saying, ombudsman. Most people don't even know that that level of government even exists. In fact, a lot of places have even gotten rid of it. But my idea is to, for every certain number of percentage of a population, you know, however many people, you know, you can pick 10,000 people or you can pick, 500. Yeah, exactly. Because they think it's not their job. Again, it's that induced demand problem. Because they think they can get away with not doing anything, or bystander effect. Well, just because I'm not doing something, there's 3 or 4 other ombudsmen that will. There's somebody in the street and there's a crowd around them, so somebody's helping. Somebody's already done something. Their job is not to sit there and look important. Their job is to sit there and wait for somebody with a bunch of money to slap it in their hand, and they're like, oh, you're important. Because they're not held accountable by the people. So the neighborhood, my ultimate idea would be like a neighborhood of people. So, you reach a certain number, a certain population density, and you have your own ombudsman. So sometimes this would be like, say in New York, a whole apartment building might have their own ombudsman, which they can only elect from the people that live in that building. Or in your own neighborhood, you can only elect your ombudsman from people that live around you. They have to live in your same conditions. Not only that, you know where they live. They will be held accountable. And especially if somebody, tries to take revenge on them. Ombudsman. Again, I'm not even sure if anybody even really has those anymore. But the idea is that you have a regional person that represents you. And by region, I mean like literally somebody, you know where they shop, you know where they live. And the only reason, yes. And the only reason why they exist is to represent your neighborhood to the next tier up. And you have, to me, I would socialize water, sewer, electric, I would socialize that. Now, we'll get to how this is all going to get paid for, and I promise it'll be interesting. But say you have a funky taste in your tap water. So you go to the ombudsman. That ombudsman has an investigator. That investigator starts at your tap and traces it all the way back to the water company to see where the funky taste is coming from, to see if your complaint is even valid. Or weird things going on in the group home, like they wouldn't let us use or have our link cards. Oh. Yeah, that's saying something when they're trying to restrict. But the idea is that this person in the region who lives in your same area can identify with your way of life. What you do. Okay, like they'd have to be living near your group home. They would see the people that live there. They would interact with these people on a regular basis. Yeah, there's an entirely different thing going on with that, Andy. But again, this would be something that an ombudsman could take care of if they had the proper authority. Their whole job is to represent you and those people in their neighborhood. Bribing them isn't going to do any good because they have to live in the same neighborhood. So you could bribe them, but they're still living in the same $600-700 a month apartment that you are, or the $300,000 home that your neighborhood is. It all depends on your neighborhood. So if they start getting bribed, or they start living a little bit higher on the hog, you'd see it. And if they try to move out, well, they lose their job because they no longer be the ombudsman, because they have to live in that place. And it can't be a second home. It has to be their primary residence. They would have to live there a certain percentage of the year. They have to live in your area. That's the whole idea. The whole idea is to control what's going on. Two-way transparency. You'd know if your local representative was taking money from the drug dealers. Right. But the point I'm trying to make is that you have a representative that you can go directly to, that their whole job is to take care of you. It's my best friend. Oig. I'm confused. Bread farm? Oh! How's it going, Simply? Stole the phone again? Took me a minute. Oh, okay. Well, I'm sorry, I'm married, Simply. I have to say no. Just like when a ghost used to, ask me to marry him, I had to say no. Hi, Simply, I'm drunk. I've been happily married for years, man. I'm sorry. I've never tried to make it a secret. But the idea is to have personal representation, somebody that you see, somebody that you interact with. But outside of that, you don't really have to worry about what's going on in the political arena. The only thing you have to worry about is, are you happy? Are things working well? Bread friend. Yes, we met in Breadline. We are bread friend. Don't ask me what accent that is. I don't care. It's a pseudo-communist bloc thing. Not necessarily Russian, but the bread friend. The idea is that each tier represents a certain number of people. And the idea came to me from the Roman Legion. Belarus. So you had Senate, they're not Senate, legats, centurions, each one of those officers represented a certain number of soldiers. I think we should do the same thing with our government, where, you have somebody that represents 1,000 people. Trilogy Media sounds. Okay. The idea is to take the burden away and not have so many people arguing back and forth. So the president would have 50 people representing each state. Not 50 people one person representing each state, so 50 people. So if it's only one state complaining, it's not such a big deal. But if 5 states are complaining from, say, the West Coast, that's a big deal because that's one whole coast. Something's really must be going on. So something needs to be taken care of. It reduces the idea of how many people they have to directly understand or represent, because each tier represents. And I would also do away with term limits. Hear me out. But I would also do away, yes, we're talking about government. I would do away with, governors. The governors of states should actually do something. They should represent their state with the federal government. I don't know what Congress and Senate does. So far, all they've done is slow things down. You can't run a country with so many people yelling at each other. You just can't. It doesn't work. I mean, obviously it doesn't work. We're barely functioning anymore. You know, and there's better ways to handle things. Yeah, Pritzker. Right, and because he's a prick. I've heard that. Well, but taxes don't do anything if they're not held accountable. See, and that's where I was going to get to. So, hear me out. The basic necessities of life, you get your government card for. Food, water, shelter, garbage, utilities, and I consider internet a utility and I consider phone a utility. So that, you know, you have a way of communicating. And I also think that we should be given a government issued phone or phone number, not necessarily phone, but a phone number. And the whole idea is that's how you vote. It's your government issued phone. You have your government issued phone that's linked to your name, your number, everything about you. Which also means that if somebody tries to stalk you through your phone, you know them. They try to call you up and do a lewd message or something, it's their number that shows up. If you're being harassed, it would be directly, you could directly know who's doing it. You could literally directly point out to the police, this is the person that's harassing me. It's a two-way street. Yeah. You know, see, that's the problem with privacy that we have right now. Privacy is a one-way street. Yes, I've said this before. You know, we can't take our privacy back. Our privacy is lost forever. There is nothing we can do about it. The only thing we can do about it from here is to make it a two-way street. Like if I really wanted to, there isn't a person I couldn't find out anything on. I would just have to have enough money. And nothing I would do would be illegal. Wait, you had privacy? Well, we've never had privacy. We used to have the yellow pages. In the yellow pages were the white pages. In the white pages, your phone number and your address were right there. All you had to do was know one person's address. You could find out who they were and their phone number. Like literally everything that we needed to find somebody was given away free. Every year you got a new phone book. You know, that was before the internet. No, it was not. Privacy was never that big of an issue. That's what I'm saying is that we talk about privacy like it's always been this thing we've had. No, we haven't. Right, I know it was heavy sarcasm. I'm just saying like, but we've never had it. Privacy has never been there. We've only had the illusion. See, that's the thing with, you know, somebody calls you. Sure, we came out with caller ID, but a lot of people didn't realize that I think it was in the 80s or early 90s, even if you didn't have caller ID, you had star 69. That's not a joke. Star 69 immediately called back whoever just called you. Made it a lot of fun when I was a kid. You go, you know, telemarketers? Oh, I loved messing with them. Because that number generally went back to their receptionist. So it made it hard for them to do business if you just kept redialing. Made it hard to do prank calls too. Right? For a while, Andy, it still worked on cell phones. You could star 69 to a cell phone, even if it was blocked. Because it didn't give you the number, it just immediately called them back. You literally had to do, I think it was star 82 to block your number. I don't know, I didn't use that one as much. But the point was, what I'm saying is that privacy has never been there. But we've never had it be a two-way street. Companies, rich people could always hide their number. Congressmen, senators, star 67. That sounds familiar, but I don't remember what it's for. But makes your number not show up. Okay, maybe it was 67. Oh God, no, I did not say that. That's probably the one I'm thinking of. 82 was something else then. Yes. But anyway, the point I'm trying to make is that you have a government issued phone number so that when elections come up and stuff like that, you use your government issued phone to make your vote. Because you have to put in a change of address whenever you move. They would know if the phone's reporting from someplace it's not supposed to. You know what I mean? Like your location data is with that. Right? There was a whole suite of them, Infinite. There was a whole bunch of special codes. I only knew about half of them when I did as early as I did, is because my buddy's dad was a linesman. So he had to use those codes when he's up there on the line to, okay, we need to disconnect this one so that I can work on it. But it allowed him to do things. Okay, incognito browser does nothing about privacy other than between you and the website you're going to. Has nothing to do with anything in between. Or no, it stops it from in between. No, it stops everybody but Google from targeting ads. Because incognito is ran by Google. Google knows what you did. Google knows what you did. That's the thing, is that it's really, you're only hiding it from your computer. And Apple has incognito mode. Apple's a whole different beast. My guess would be is that basically it's the same thing. Whether you're hiding it from Google or whether you're hiding it from you're not hiding it from you're not hiding it from anybody but your own computer. It's what kids use so that they don't get caught searching things they shouldn't. The government knows what you're doing. Your browser knows what you're doing. I mean, it's their browser. You think they're just like, oh, they told us to not look. Like, really, it's just like VPNs. Oh, VPNs, they'll make you secure. From what? If somebody's good enough, they're seeing where the information originated from, and they see where it goes. The only reason to use a VPN is to get on Netflix in Europe. Or get around regional bans of this, that, and the other thing. It doesn't really help because your browser knows what you're doing. Well, yeah, you're getting around the basic people. You're giving yourself the illusion, but your government knows what you're doing, your ISPN knows what you're doing, and your browser knows what you're doing. And they sell all your data. Like if you go through a VPN to go to Meta. Okay, that's ridiculous. But if you go, yeah, okay, if you use a VPN to go to YouTube, well, Google knows where you're from. Well, like I just said, you're either doing something weird or searching things you're not supposed to. The group home blocked you from going to YouTube. You're doing something you're not supposed to. Whether it's a big deal or not is up to you and the group home. Average person, like, it's freaking YouTube. Who cares? But either way, the point I'm trying to make is also, internet would be ran by the government. Fiber optics to every home. Massive infrastructure rebuilds. Yeah, don't even get me started on stupid rules, Andy. The idea is that who's using what internet. Like, again, it's government mandated. It's government sent. So you're not getting around anything, nor would you really need to. That's the point I'm trying to make is that as long as it's legal content, why do we allow private companies control something that is integral to our life? Whether that's water, sewer, garbage, phone, internet, what have you, food. Why do private companies get to control what we have access to? I mean, especially since all of those, every single one that I'm talking about is government subsidized with our taxes already. And yet they still charge us a bill for it. Big agriculture, government subsidized. It's ridiculous. The cost of the groceries, our taxes pay for that. The government literally pays farmers not to farm, and have been doing so for generations. My grandparents owned a subsistence farm. No, sorry, not a subsistence, but a 60 acres of agriculture farm that they eventually had to give up because there was no point to it anymore. They were paid year after year not to farm. By the government, paid not to farm. You want to know why we have monoculture foods? Why we wheat, rice, soy, corn. Wheat, rice, soy, corn. That's it. That's our main groceries. Everything's made from that. And 2 of those aren't even really meant for human consumption. I got a question for you. What is corn? Or should I say, is corn a vegetable? It's an honest ask. Soy and corn, they're not good for consuming. Wheat in minimal amounts and rice in minimal amounts. But is corn a vegetable? No, it's sweet. Oh, does that make it a fruit? Then what is corn? I'll make this easy on you, Andy, because you're drunk. Nope. Corn's a grain. Corn's exactly the same kind of grain as wheat. Very little nutritional quality other than carbohydrate. Very little vegetable quality, or not vegetable, but very little vitamin quantity. Like, legitimately, even though parents use it as vegetable, even though it's not a vegetable. We keep GMOing it, maybe. Corn's really not meant to be human eaten. We become Bob and Ted. Yes, exactly. It's a root vegetable. Herbs are the leaves. Yeah, like a radish. And garlic. But the point I'm trying to make is, I mean, I'm not trying to get into a discussion about vegetables and stuff. What I'm trying to say is that the government controls, I'm pretty sure it's a vegetable, how much our food costs by how much they spend to give to big agriculture. But big agriculture has bought so many farms that now they control, yeah, veggies are more than what most people think. Like, it's ridiculous. I love turnips. Rutabagas are good too. So you can use rutabagas like potatoes. And I will tell you that making a rutabaga salad like you do potato salad, sure, the rutabaga takes a little bit more work. Like we pressure cooked ours and then boiled them so they got soft because they are a much harder root vegetable. But rutabaga salad's really good. And you make it like potato salad. But the point I'm trying to make is that the government controls all these things already, but they let the balance tip. Now corporations control so much of the market that the government has lost control. We don't control anything really anymore. Artichokes are good. Oh man. One of my favorite toppings on a pizza. Rutabaga. I apparently didn't type it even though I was. Is that right? That's out. What is up with this? Why are you not? Thank you. Artichoke on pizza? You never had it? Oh, you take artichoke hearts, spinach leaf, and chicken with an olive oil drizzle and a very garlicky base, like a garlic oil base, and then you take an olive oil drizzle over the top with is it Asiago and mozzarella? Really good. Oh, and sun-dried tomatoes if you want. Really good. I like to top mine with red pepper flake. Because Google doesn't understand the difference between Chinese and Japanese. And also, a lot of the people that are using translations probably are confusing Chinese and Japanese. Well, I don't remember, it's ran by people, and I don't think the people are intentionally racist. Because people are dumb. Remember, it's AI. It's being trained by people and how people use it. So people will, oh, I think this is Japanese, enter the kanji. Only problem is, it's the wrong kanji. It's Cantonese or Mandarin instead of Japanese. But back to what I was trying to say. So my solution to basically all of this. Here's the kicker. 50% income tax. Everything is 50% income tax. Hear me out. But you get utilities, housing, food, and internet, utilities I consider water, sewer, electric, garbage, phone, insurance for health. That's part of where the 50% tax rate comes from. If somebody is disabled, they get taken care of. But here's the kicker. Every April 15th, you go down to your tax professional and they get to tell you how much you get a refund because the government didn't use your portion of the money. Or why you don't get a refund. Because your portion of the money was used. And what I mean by your portion is how much you gave. And if the government's constantly overspending without reason, remember that water complaint you had? Right. I mean, I'm sure that there's going to be some way to live in corruption. There's some way that corruption's going to seep in. That's just human nature. But the point I tried to make is that I've limited where that corruption can seep in. Because when you go back to your HR tax professional and the government has to validate HR tax professional, you go to your tax professional. The government has to tell you where your money was used. If you don't like how the money was used, you talk to your ombudsman and say, hey, I don't like how that money was used. We need to have a vote of no confidence. And that's how you get people, because there's no statute of limitations there's no term limits. There's no real terms, there's no election cycles. If the person's doing a good job, you don't hold an election. If the person starts doing a bad job, start making complaints. If enough people in your neighborhood make complaints, that ombudsman reports to the next tier up. Who reports to the next tier up? Mayor, county seat, whatever, that keeps going up until you get to the state level. The governor reports to the president saying, hey, people have no confidence in you. We're going to have a new vote. The person gets kicked out of office. You have a vote. But it'd have to take a certain number of people saying these things, which is represented by each tier going up. You understand what I mean?
You've been hit by, you've been struck by a truck.
Isn't doing their good job. Vote of no confidence. Oh, but he might not report that. That's fine. You take it up to the tier higher. Sure, if they're all in collusion all the way up, you're screwed. But at least it's a lot more limited screwed. Remember, that ombudsman, if they're not doing a good job, is living in the same neighborhood as you. They're working at the same, or not working, but they're going to the same stores, same entertainment districts, same places as you. You get a voucher for your housing, and have a set rate, say it's like $1,500. For a lot of people, that'd be a damn nice place. But say you work at a job and you want a little bit nicer house. Say you want to spend $2,000 a month. Well, you already got $1,500 paid for. You only have to come up with $500 to get into the slightly nicer place. That's where capitalism comes back into it. You still choose where you live. You still choose where that money goes. You choose the stores you frequent with your government voucher for food. Because, hey, this guy has better deals. Because that's the problem. Companies no longer compete. This is the biggest problem we have right now. Companies used to compete to give us the best deal. Now they compete to see who can screw us over the most. I mean, Spotify just increased their subscription price. Disney just did it not that long ago. Xbox is slaughtering themselves. Sony just, just said you don't own what you purchased. You know that? You buy a PS5, and they didn't even tell you ahead of time. This backdates to March 22nd. Your PS5 has to go online every 30 days, or you lose access to video games bought from March 22nd onward. Yes, it's why I don't support Nintendo anymore. It's why I don't. If you really knew my feelings on Pokemon, a lot of you would not like me. Because I think started out great, perfectly fine. And I think too many of you have nostalgia glasses for not realizing how toxic it's gotten. How absolutely corrupt it's gotten. No, opinions are like assholes. Everyone's got one and they all pretty much stink. Right, sure, the old stuff is great, but the nostalgia, they keep selling. I mean, look at Pokemon cards. Nobody's woken up to the fact that Nintendo could fight this. That's what I'm saying, is that the company that produces the Pokemon cards could fight this. But instead, they lean into it. They keep releasing these rare things. They keep doing these things to attract scalpers, which is dumb because they're not making the money from it. These scalpers are selling them on a third-party market. Yes, she did. No, they didn't do anything. They're still releasing limited run sets. Yes, because of. And not even that valuable. What was it, about $6,000 worth of cards? And she was killed for it? You know, I mean, people sit here and talk about AI and how damaging that is. AI's never directly killed somebody. Oh, sure, there are people that have deleted their save file over what AI has done, but they've had choices. They've had people in their lives that could have intervened. AI hasn't directly killed someone like Pokemon has. And this one lady is not the first or only one. Right? Now, don't get me wrong. I enjoy the hobbies. Yes, Andy, but here's the question. Would they have found another way if AI didn't exist? Would they have found something else to validate their feelings? Some people just don't want to. I'm sorry, but self-deletion has been around since we started life. I don't think AI has directly convinced somebody. One, where are the people in these people's lives? Oh, well, they didn't have somebody in their life. All right, already another symptom of somebody more likely to commit self-deletion. You already have the symptoms there. I understand what you're saying, but hear me out. I really think that person would have found something somewhere if that's really what they wanted. What I'm trying to say is that I do respect somebody's free will. I respect somebody's free will. That's why I'm saying AI just gave them the excuse they needed to do it for themselves. They would have found another excuse because that's what they wanted to do. And I respect their choice for doing it. I'm just saying I'm not taking away somebody else's agency. You know, you can't have it both ways. You can't have it both ways. You can't blame AI, but also say that this person had every right to do so. Don't they? Don't we have the right? Now, I don't want to say I'm encouraging somebody to do it. Not in the slightest. I think people that are having these issues should seek help. But I also think that if somebody is that committed, they're going to find a way. As sad as that is to say, as much as I hate that, because I am a person that will fight for life. To the bitter end. I will live as long as I possibly can. I would rather be immortal. But the fact is that I'm also not going to sit here and tell somebody that, oh no, you have to live. No, you don't. You have free will. Do what you will. Just remember that the consequences of your actions are permanent. You better appreciate that. I love life. I am self-confident enough that, I absolutely love my wife. But if things happen and we're not together anymore, I know I'll survive. I'll be depressed as hell for a long time, but I will get over it. I will stand back up on my 2 feet and I will start walking. But it'd be a tough road because I literally have nothing that isn't tied to her. But on that cheerful note, I'm going to run the ad. I'll be right back. I promise I'll be right back. You know what's funny about that, Infinite? I'm not even listening. right, people? So, this actually kind of segues perfectly into what I was going to talk about. Not dancing on the table, just very huggy. Pizza. But I think part of the reason why we live in such desperate times as we do is we can no longer trust people. We can't. I want pizza. I shouldn't have it, but I want it. We can't trust people. Even me. I mean, you see me talk. You see my emotions. But we've been trained not to. And we're currently being trained not to trust people's faces. I mean, it's not just AI. Botox does it. What does Botox do? I don't mean trust the person. I mean, like, when somebody's talking, genuinely giving you a talk, a conversation, we find it hard to understand their facial cues because we've been so destroyed. That's out. Yeah, that's good. Because Botox. People are literally freezing their faces so you can't even tell their emotions anymore. We take pills to repress our emotions. I'm not talking bad about, God, no. Why would I want to put a fungus underneath my skin? You know, this one place fungus wants to get to. Why would I want to give myself stroke symptoms? You know, facial paralysis? That's what Botox does. It literally paralyzes your face. Well, sure, in medical necessity, those kind of things is fine. But to get rid of wrinkles, to get rid of your honest expressions, that's uncanny valley. We've been trained to ignore uncanny valley. I don't care about those people. That's fine. They do it. So what? You're paralyzing your face. That's who you are. Why can't you be honest with who you are? Do you have permanent angry forehead? I can't hide my emotions, nor would I want to. Nope. I would never use the moniker Botox boss. I have been vehemently against, plastic surgery. Why would I want to carve my body? Why would I want to lie to people about who I really am? Would you? Do you realize how many facial cues we give away? Do you realize sometimes being able to express the emotion increases our emotional response to it, our own? But if you're freezing part of your face, if you're freezing the expressiveness of your own face, why? Why would you want to hide who you are? Why is it embarrassing? It's embarrassing to feel your feels? Why do you think we live in such an anxious age? Why do you think everybody needs all these medications to be happy, to take care of themselves? So what? Too easily read for what? What are you trying to hide? That you're angry, that you're embarrassed, that you're happy? But why is that such a problem, Infinite? Right? Why is it such a problem to be emotional? I know. Infinite, do you see this face? Do you see how expressive it is? I was a fat kid in school. I mean, I'm still kind of chunky now, but at that time, And yeah, I'm an open book. So what? Well, not so much anymore. But Infinite, I'm 340. I've lost a little weight recently. I was going up to 350 again. But I'm trying to keep it back down. I'm 340 pounds. Yeah, I'm 6'4", 6'5", whatever it is. You know, the screen behind me is supposed to be 6-foot screen. Where that line goes, that's supposed to be, well, it's actually a little taller than 6 foot. I think it was supposed to be 6'2". But the point I'm trying to make is that we use makeup, we use beards. You know, people, I mean, at least the beard is natural. And we use all this stuff to hide who we are. And yet we're anxious. We're anxious that people might find out who we really are underneath. Do you really think that getting Botox is going to change that? Do you really think you're still going to be anxious? Well, has it worked for movie stars? I mean, Jim Carrey makes his money by how mobile his face is. And yet, he got it done, and he wasn't really himself. Like, literally, people thought it was somebody else. I'm not talking about people that honestly need the medications. What I'm talking about is, why do so many people need the medications? And I think it's because over time, we can't read people's faces. Not properly. Actors who we normally get our training from. Oh, tell me about bullies, Andy. I was a runt in school. I literally was. Yeah, trauma, I've got it. I learned to get over it. I learned that I was no longer going to let others control me. Whether that be my parents, whether that be kids at school, whether that be school itself. I was no longer gonna let others control me. I will do what I will do, and I will suffer the consequences for it. The younger generation's barely taught. That's a systematic problem. The parents just hand them off to an iPad. The schools hand them off to an iPad or a Chromebook. Nobody wants to deal with them, so is it any wonder that they act out and that they can't even control themselves? I mean, at this point, it's not even really their fault. Well, not only raised, don't forget, they were also drugged, Andy. Oh, little Timmy can't sit still. Rather than teaching him how to focus and control himself, we'll just give him medication so that he sits still and doesn't really understand what's going on anyway. So stoned to the gills that they can't even act properly. Again, this isn't their fault. You know, and that's what I'm trying to say is, I'm not blaming these people. I'm blaming the institution that caused it, that created it, that made it okay, that we're okay to take medication because we're not feeling anxious. How do we know? When was the last time we had an honest feeling? Movies can't even move us anymore because all the actors' faces are frozen. They're not acting anymore. They're just reading lines. They're just brands laid out. That's what I realized the other day when I was talking about brands, like actors are brands. They're not even allowed to act anymore because they have to be Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. They have to be Scarlett Johansson. They have to be Robert Downey Jr. No matter how charismatic their words are, they're frozen. And I don't even think they want to be frozen. They're not allowed to act because the industry behind them is not allowing them to be anything but the brand. You know what I did about the bullies, Andy? I fought them. Got my ass kicked several times. But I stopped being their punching bag. I was now a punching bag that hit back. Broken noses, broken arms, mine and theirs. I was done. I read the dictionary and did a book report on it, so now I could insult them in ways they didn't even understand. I did everything I possibly could to fight back, because I was not going to let others control me. To this day. Oh, I'm not saying I won. I'm not saying I beat the guys. I was just as beaten and bloodied as everybody else. But they don't understand that, Andy. See, that's the problem. If you try to reason with your bully like we were taught to, they see you as weak because that's what they were taught. If you try to reason with your bully. No, they tried to give me stuff like that too. Yeah, they tried to give me stuff like that too. Like literally when I was in junior high, I was diagnosed with ADD and it took me a long time to realize what this meant, but they said a minor dichotia. Basically what we now call dissociative disorder. I wasn't even allowed to be myself. Well, then you just got 80% less of the bullying. I mean, I know that's not how it works, but I mean, we're taught to think it's our fault. We're being bullied because of who we are. No, we're being bullied because we actually care. And they don't understand that. Because we're actually trying to empathize. We're actually trying to sympathize. We're actively trying to figure out what the problem is. Right. Well, I don't have it anymore. This was because I wasn't allowed to be myself. At home, I wasn't allowed to be myself. At school, I wasn't allowed to be myself because that's not who they wanted me to be. But there was something in me. I also think that I was never diagnosed for it. But I think I had an oppositional disorder. You tell me something that I can't do or that I should be doing, I will do the exact opposite. Screw you. Well, it took me a while. I mean, it wasn't until I was 16 that I really realized. You know, I've told you guys a story about just sitting there in Southern California and realizing that I had been watching my life through a window. And whatever coat of paint they put on that house that I was living in, that shelter, those walls, was what I portrayed to everybody else I was. It was all a mask. I decided to step out that window and start living my life, being who I wanted to be. I was never happier. It was so freeing. I mean, my parents could never understand. My mom is getting better now. But my dad died without ever knowing who I was. He never wanted to. I stopped caring if somebody beat the crap out of me or hated me. If it meant that I had to be somebody else. It's not fair. It's not fair to ask that of somebody else. Just like it's unfair of me to ask you to be somebody you're not. Why would I want to do that? You know, I mean, I don't blame people for the problems of the world. But I also think that we all need to kind of wake up to the problems of the world so that we can start looking at it and seeing what we can do about it. Everybody's always pointing out the problems, but nobody's looking for a solution. You know, you don't like how Nintendo's treating your favorite Pokemon industry, stop supporting it. Let the scalpers have what they want to scalp. Because as soon as they run out of targets to sell to, there's no reason to scalp. Then you get your cardboard back. Don't just buy it because you always have. Well, right. Again, these aren't pointed at a person. I'm not pointing it at you. I'm not pointing it at here. I'm specifically saying that not just Pokemon. I brought up Pokemon because we had talked about it earlier. This could be everything, anything. Your pizza joint isn't the way it used to be. You don't like how they do it anymore, even though it was like your favorite growing up as a kid. Try a different pizza joint. You don't like how Amazon treats their employees. Use something else. Most of these places you can go buy directly. Honestly, the Taco Bell around me is really freaking good. Not gonna lie. At least it's 10 times better than it was up in Washington. That Taco Bell, I mean, you might as well have been getting the food out of the sewer. They still have my favorite thing. They still have the friggin' pizza. They eat us them. That sucks. See, I remember the original gorditas. The flatbread folded over, unfried chalupa. So good. Yes, Taco Bell did discontinue the pizza for a while, which I think is ridiculous. That is literally one of my favorite things. They did discontinue my absolute favorite thing. Taco Bell had the best taco salad in the business, and that's including, expensive restaurants, Mexican restaurants. Their taco salads aren't, I was paying more to get the same thing that I got at Taco Bell. Why would I do that? I like Taco Bell's taco salads. No. I probably hadn't been until I came down here to Texas. Hadn't been to a Taco Bell in 10, 12 years. Mine back home, back in Centralia, was that bad. Well, maybe it's been longer than... Wait, shoot, it probably was. Maybe it was closer to 15 years. Damn, I'm old. Well, also remember, Andy, I can't do corn syrup. So I haven't had many of these sodas because they're all made with corn syrup, even the diets. I've only recently been able to get back into sodas because of zero sugars don't have corn syrup in them. Oh no, it's fine. It's not your problem, it's mine. You don't have to remember. I do. I'm just saying that, it's like, well, yeah, also, as much as I love Mountain Dew, I hadn't been able to have it in forever. Until they came out with the zero sugar Mountain Dew. The only problem is also trying to get my favorite alternate flavors in zero sugar is really hard. Okay. So, I'm pretty sure, because it was just after Baja Blast, that I stopped going to Taco Bell. Which, I didn't like Baja Blast initially, but Taco Bell's Baja Blast Zero Sugar is really good. Now, I don't know how much that changes the flavor, because it's zero sugar, but I like it. But the point I'm trying to make here is that we have emotions as a people. We should be okay with that. If we're depressed, be depressed. Just don't be depressed for long. It's okay. It's okay to hate what you did and get over it. But don't hate yourself for what you do because it is who you are. It's okay. You're okay the way you are. If somebody doesn't like the way you are, that's their problem, not your problem. Like, you don't have to have friends. Shocker, I know. Social media has really fucked with people's brains. Like, absolutely. And I know I don't curse very often, but holy crap, I hate social media as a general rule. There used to be an old term, keeping up with the Joneses. Keeping up with the Joneses meant that, like, okay, if the Joneses got a new car, you had to get a new car. If the Joneses put up a fence, you had to put up a fence. If the Joneses painted the house, then you had to paint the house. And it was generally the Joneses were only your neighbors. Now the Joneses can be a dude from, Italy that's putting on a female filter that makes him look perfect as a female, and you got to keep up with it. Why? We got so used to people using filters that we don't even recognize movie stars in real life anymore. You can literally walk right past them and don't even realize it because they've been so airbrushed, filtered, everything in movies and everything. Please don't say it's a spicy cat. I was gonna say, please don't say the Kardashians, because these are the people that didn't create the problem, but my God, did they give it to everybody. The Kardashians literally infected the rest of the world with their insecurities. Nice. And that's good. I just don't understand why people aren't happy with who they are. Okay. I don't understand why we have to try and please everybody. My siblings don't particularly like me because I stopped being the person they grew up with. Both of my siblings, by the time I realized who I was, figured myself out, had already moved out of the house. They weren't there for that transition. They have never been able to reconcile who they grew up with to who I am now. Like they don't get it. And that's fine. I get it. I understand. They don't have to like me just because they're my siblings. Right. And it's not even personal. See, this is the thing that everybody forgets. Just because somebody doesn't like you doesn't mean it's your fault. It doesn't mean it's their fault. You're just not compatible. That's it. That's the extent of it. And I think the reason why so many people need all these medications and everything is because they've been taught to repress their emotions. Whether it's been through media, social media, their parents, their siblings, school, they've been taught to repress. Speaking of repression, hi Ninetails, how you doing? No, I'm joking. I am absolutely joking, dude. Found a collectible, woo. Nice. Oh, hi, Rando, or Ninetails. We're talking about repressing emotions and just how botox and plastic surgery and social media filters have made it even worse. We can't even trust our own emotions anymore. We don't even really understand an honest feel anymore. Fuck, man. You guys see me here. I don't repress much. Not anymore. Well, there you go. I like expressing who I am. If people don't like it, you don't have to stick around. Not my problem. I don't mean it as a insult to people. I don't mean to be, pushing people away. But I'm also not going to change who I am just to keep you around. I'm not insecure. I could turn this all off and not come back. I'd want to. I enjoy being here. I enjoy all of this. Well, okay, we do have to learn some decorum. See, and that's something that I think we've lost. Learning decorum is not the same thing as repressing. I can cuss somebody out with decorum. That's why you learn nice words. That's why you learn those double-edged insults. Where they think they're being flattered until they go home and think about it for a second. I call those insult grenades. Your intelligence is a debt you owe the world. I just called you stupid. Like, legitimately. Yeah. Bless their little hearts. Show them all the politeness. Well, that makes sense. I get so frustrated watching. I think that's why I just can't connect with a lot of movies lately. Yeah, telling someone to go apologize to a tree for taking up perfectly good oxygen. But see, that one's pretty direct. Let's see. See, I come up with these on a case-to-case basis. Like, the person, like... Well, okay, take like your friend that's annoyingly not going to drive you, or possibly. It's like, oh, I get it. You're afraid of driving through construction zones. I understand that your skills may not be up to par for what you want to do. Basically, you called him a bad driver. While completely understanding. Yeah, that's what I'm saying, is that... Well, Andy, if you lived closer, I wouldn't have a problem, going for a drive every now and then. Right? Construction's gonna happen. Well, Andy, there's not much you can do about it. I hate to say it. I think you guys have a lot of bridges, or just... Right, she's a bad liar. It's annoying. It's annoying that these things happen. But again, ultimately it sucks because you're at the mercy of others. I don't know how else to say this. I don't mean to say it to piss you off. But your wants aren't their problems. Now, if it was a need, like going to the hospital, getting, something like that, that's a different matter. No, and I understand that. But I've known people that will agree to something and then find a way to wiggle out of it later. I've been guilty of it. Oh, you're going to tour an apartment? Then what's the problem? If they're already going, You're already driving. What's the difference? So they're not going to tour the apartment? Oh. Andy, I wish I had a better solution for you. Ouch. But I don't know. I don't know really what to say at that point. Oh, well, but see, again, that's a medical doctor thing. People put that in a different perspective. Let's be honest. It's a lot easier for them to validate that and not wiggle out of it. Right? Okay. I take it that's somewhere around you. I don't know where New Braunfels is. I mean, yeah, like, you know, like I said, Andy, if you live closer to me, I mean, yeah, I definitely have some boundaries. Oh, well, there you go. You know, there's certain things that certain days I don't go out. And I don't go out very often. But every once in a while, like once or twice a week, yeah, I'm good with that. I mean, unless you're having like a doctor's appointment or something like that. I've done that for friends in the past. As much as I hate going to doctors. I'll let you go inside to the waiting room. I'll sit out in the car. Well, Waco's pretty spread out. There's a lot of places here. You know, I mean, there's plenty of stuff. Okay, it is? All right. Yeah, because like I said, I actually live in the corner of 3 different, cities. My address says one thing, but the sign outside says I'm between Hewitt and Waco, but my address says Woodway. Like literally, I live right on the border of the city limits. You know, and the closest Buc-ee's is about half hour away. I've only gone once. It's not bad. It's not worth the lines, in my opinion. It's worth going once, but I'd rather take you to the Czech stop and get Kalichis. Because apparently this one's famous near me. And it's not that far away. Right? I mean, shoot, I've got every fast food joint known to man just within 2 blocks. Like, I can walk to most of the fast foods. No, we don't have Culver's. That's the one thing that upsets me is we don't have a Culver's. Right. But I got a Whataburger just down the road. I got a Freddy's just down the road. I've got Popeyes within walking distance. I know I walked there. I've got Raising Cane's not too far away. Portillo's. I've got Domino's. I think a Pizza Hut's on the same road. Taco Bell. Yeah, we've got basically everything. I'm sure it'll grow. Oh, is that what Portillo? Oh, that's right. You guys were telling me about Portillo's and the chocolate cake shake. I would try it at least once, even if it has corn syrup in it. I just have to be very careful. But back to what I was saying about, we need to be more genuine with our emotions. We got to stop hiding it. Like, that's really one of the problems is that we keep hiding. Oh my God, that sounds so good. Who we are and what we want, because we're afraid. Like, I got in trouble in college because I was too aggressive. Like, other students wouldn't want to, like when we were working, what, Iglesias? No. Is it not? I know Fluffy. Right? We should. Maybe I can get Tater on it. She lives out that way now. Have Tater at least try it. Yeah, Gabriel Iglesias. I kept wanting to say Julio, and I knew that was wrong. Okay, so I was right that the last name was Iglesias. It's always been Fluffy. I haven't watched much of his newer stuff, but his older stuff, man, had me rolling. There was a time I hated living in Washington, and it got so bad that it wasn't about repressing my emotions. It's just, I didn't want to go anywhere. Like, everywhere became hostile environment. Everything I did, everything was a hostile place. I hated Washington. And it's not because Washington itself was bad. It's that I'm rapidly affected by weather. And it was just always cloudy. Always cloudy. The pressure moving in, the pressure moving out. It just was always so bad. And the apartments I lived in, they replaced all of the carpet with solid surface floors, which are basically just vinyl flooring. Like, it's not even they were basically just stickers on the floor, which meant there was no sound suppression. There was no, so everybody walking and everything, there was just this constant hum where I lived, and I couldn't get away from it. I'll have to check on that later. But that's what I'm saying is that, like, it got so bad that I knew I couldn't repress what I was feeling. So I just didn't go anywhere. I went to places where people knew me. And I mean, it's been so refreshing here in Texas. Like, I don't even know if Texas is really that good of a place. What I do know is from where I came from in Washington, this place is heaven. I live in a quiet area. Right. Because I don't want to suppress. I mean, I got to feel like I was just the always cranky person because everything was so bad around me that I just always felt cranky and there was no escape. There was no escape from just everything. And that's what's dangerous about being authentic in your feelings. Like, you do need to learn a certain amount of tact, but sometimes your give a damn's just gotta be busted. Like, who cares? Like, I get, sometimes you want to keep your friends, but I had a friend that, I tried helping. And, I mean, we were friends for 10 years, decade. A decade of friendship ended because they blamed me for all their problems. Because all I was doing was holding them accountable for what they said they wanted to be and what they wanted to do. Right. No, I understand that, being civil. We do have to learn how to do that. And this friend did mean a lot to me. We were friends for a decade. We were co-presidents of a literature club in college. That's where we met. That's how we got to be good friends. And we got into a big argument that ended the friendship. Because I wasn't going to accept. Right. I wasn't going to accept being blamed for everything every one of their problems. I just wasn't. I mean, this is a friend that stayed with me for a while because they didn't have any place to go. This was a friend that came over 3 or 4 times a week, that had been repressing their emotions for so long that it all just exploded to the surface because they didn't want to make me mad. But because they had repressed for so long, they couldn't even be honest with themselves. You know, because if it had started with the little things that they had really talked about, they'd be like, whoa, well, that's what you told me you wanted to be, so you told me to hold you to it, so I am. You know, you wanted to go to college, so I'm holding you to college. You know, get your degree. They were mad at me because I dropped out, but I made them stay. You literally told me to make sure that you stayed in college. I kept driving you to college. I made sure you got rides home. And this wasn't when they were living with me. I did all of this stuff. You know, it's like they take me to the casino with them to make sure that they didn't spend too much. And then they yelled at me at this time for mothering them at the casino. It's like, you literally told me to tell you when it was time to go. You know, so I'm literally being held to blame because they couldn't have the fun that they wanted when it was what they told me they wanted. If they wanted me to stop, all you had to do was tell me to stop. You know, I mean, yeah, exactly. It's like, you told me to do this, so I'm doing it. What else am I supposed to do? You know, and because I have that autistic nature, maybe, like, I don't understand when, like, unless you tell me directly, like, okay, you need to stop that now. I don't do subtle. You know, you hit me over the head with a hammer. Like, oh, okay, I'm not supposed to do that anymore. Got it. Simple as that. Right. Because trust me, the hammer's going to be more hurt than me. I got a hard head. Trust me, my brother bounced it off a lot of things, so it got pretty solid. It's so frustrating to be held accountable for somebody else's failures. Their failure in not being able to tell me what to do. Maybe I should have been able to see it, but I was never told. No, God, no. If a baseball bat wasn't going to put a metal plate in my head, not much is. Oh, that's got to be fun. Yeah, I literally got hit in the head with a baseball bat. Actually, it was along the side here. And I dented the aluminum baseball bat. Now, that was a standing knockout. I don't remember what happened afterwards. My friends told me I stared down the guy and he got scared and ran away. Most likely they'll have the bioprinted bone. So it's real calcium, so your body just literally just regloms on. They're doing bioprinting stuff now, which is really cool because that's going to be so much better in the long run. For a time. Because arthritis, if I remember right, is like the swelling of the joint and all of that. So if you replace it with the bone, the body will grow around it. Because it'll use the calcium in that false bone to grow around and grow in. So for a time it will, but then it'll eventually start swelling up again. It just depends on how rapidly. Depends on, it may not trigger again for years. Or it might trigger the next day. I really don't know. I don't think we've done many studies over that. Hey, what's up, Green Jeans? Green Jeans over in YouTube land. How are you this evening, sir? But the main thing I want to say is that we live in a society where people aren't honest with their green jeans in YouTube. People aren't honest with their feelings. Not only that, but they're afraid to feel their feelings. Andy says hello. Infinite says hello. Good. Glad you're not bad. We suppress so much. Well, I was talking with Andy and myself, I guess. Yes, they can see you on the screen on YouTube. They should be able to. I still haven't figured out how to conjoin the chats. Green Jean says hello back. I'm sure it's not that hard, but I just haven't figured it out. I also keep forgetting to look, so I mean it's mostly me. But anyway, I just wish people. Well, I guess the point is that children now have a problem because every person they see is either filtered, botoxed, both. You know, somehow they're on drugs to repress their emotions. So the children don't have a chance to understand emotions. First one, then the other. So I think that's part of the reason why we have so much anxiety and insecurity in today's day and age is because this is slowly happening. I mean, we can't even bond with movies anymore. Movies don't feel the same because the stars aren't acting. They're not allowed to act. TV shows, again, they're not allowed to act. We're having trouble seeing, like, we're so not used to, yeah, the stars are blind. We're not used to people being authentic, that when somebody authentic comes along, we don't have any filters to it. So it's really scary when somebody's actually showing true emotion, feeling their feels. They get scared, they get afraid because it's unpredictable. They misread it. They think that that person's going to attack when all they are is just angry. Not necessarily even at you. And then when somebody reacts afraid of that person, who remember is already heightened in their emotional state, they're already angry, they're already, and then they see somebody afraid, now they have to be defensive and angry. This is a bad combination. Yeah, the cast of The Boys, they're all looking pretty bad. Even though I'm still enjoying the show, I don't know, they all look pretty bad. Like most of the cast, they're, like, I get that people want cosmetics, surgery. I get that being in the limelight is a very intensive thing and you have to look perfect. And it's like, no, you don't. One, if you start making it successful, even just a little bit, you have already made it further than 99% of people out there. Why can't you be happy with that? And I guarantee you that happiness that you feel at that time will let you exist longer in that field than kowtowing to what you think people will want, because then the people look at you like what they're doing with the people that on The Boys. Now they're hyper analyzing. You know, I mean, the guy that plays Milk, I mean, he lost so much weight just between season 1 and season 2. Like, he became half the man he used to be, and he's supposed to be the big tough guy. He's supposed to be the big brawler out of all of them. You know, of a regular person. He's supposed to have the best fighting skills. when now it looks like a cold breeze could blow him over. Butcher's supposed to be the psycho, but yet Carl Urban's the only one that seems like he could actually take anybody on. Right, honesty gets people very defensive. But what I'm talking about is when people are angry at a circumstance, you know, something stupid that nobody even intentionally did. Like there's nobody to blame. But they're angry and they're just venting, and then this person thinks that they're angry at them because they're venting at them. And suddenly, oh, you shouldn't be acting that way. You know, they started trying to call him down or calm him down when that's the last thing you need to do. But that makes the person it makes it even worse. You know, it's like telling somebody that's depressed, oh, just stop being depressed. Thanks, Barbara. Like I couldn't have figured that one out. Right. But this also creates that prey drive in people. When they're already angry, they're already not thinking straight. And then when somebody basically makes themselves the target, because now they have to defend themselves. Yeah, Barbara, you suck. So now they have to defend themselves. So you have to, you made yourself the target. Let them have their feelings. I mean, one of the best ways to get somebody talked down is just like, okay, what happened? Show honest curiosity. Let them feel like they have an ear to listen to. Even if you completely disagree. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if they were in the wrong or not at that moment. The first thing that should matter is letting them feel their feels. Not repress them, not tell them how they're invalid, not tell them this, not tell them that. Oh, hey, dude, I see that you're just depressed. What's going on? Because a depressed person's not going to reach out. If somebody's not communicating with you, ask them every once in a while. Give them that door. After a time, if they just keep shutting you down, there's nothing you can do but withdraw. And I know that sounds counterintuitive, but when they stop getting that reinforcement, they stop getting that attention, they might actually reach out for it afterwards. Rather than being given attention, because sometimes that's what we learn to do. We get attention because we're depressed. So we seek that attention over and over and over again. You know, so we keep getting depressed just so we get attention. We get the sympathy, we get this, we get that. I'm not saying anybody here is doing that. I'm just saying that's a cycle. And it's often an unconscious one. People don't realize they're doing it. You guys gonna stick around for another hour? Because I'm here. I can keep going. I just realized the time. Sure? All right. Then I will be right back. I'm going to run the ad and go take a quick de-stressing walk. Maybe think about the next phase of this conversation. Right? I'm just double checking. I'll be right back. All right. See y'all soon. And I'm back. How we all doing? So, what I was thinking out there is that we have to remember to be authentic, to live with intention. Hi, back. I'm Andy. Oh, wait, no. Sorry. I'm back. You're Andy. We have to figure out who we are. We are so distracted now that most of us don't even really know who we are, what we want out of life. We keep doing what we're told. You know, and this was a big thing in the 80s. You know, the Thundercats. Oh! Yes, but how do you reach that? What does happiness mean to Andy? Like, we know what we want. Of course, everybody wants happiness. But what does happiness mean? Then create. Draw. Use cardboard. We get plenty of it. Make collages. Oh wait, we don't have that many magazines anymore. That's something that, as kids, we used to do. Make collages out of poster board. You know, turn off the screen, turn on some music. I mean, yes, often most of us are listening to our music through our screen. That's fine. But don't look at the screen. Only look at it with intention. Go to the screen with a reason. Like, oh, hey, that dude Neon Boss is, streaming on Twitch. Join up. Take a look. Is he being an asshole tonight? Well, it's kind of funny. I had a buddy that used to take his old computer parts that were broken, and he'd make jewelry out of it. Right? I generally have YouTube running in the background while I'm playing a video game. Or drawing, or... Lately I've been playing more video games because the weather has been stormy, so I don't feel like creating too much. It makes it really hard. Which sucks. Because I love creating. And it's really hard because there's a lot of ideas I have for stories and stuff in my head. But I never seem to have the focus time. I have the time, but it's hard to focus. And I realize that a lot of that is the notifications on my phone. Notifications on my phone distract me more than anything. And I hate it. I grew up without this crap. Like, I know I'm the oldest person here. Right. And I think we forget that sometimes we need to turn off and be bored so that our brain starts working properly. We are so used to having a distraction that boredom is antithetical. Boredom is like, you can't be bored in today's day and age. You don't really need one. Your phone does it. Generally. Most computers have some function of that. I mean, your Notes app should do that. Yeah, I mean, there used to be a program called Dragon Naturally Speaking. Samsung, I'm pretty sure it has that. Or you can easily get it. You want speech to text? Open the keyboard, tap the icon, start speaking. You can probably use it through your Notes app. Yeah, I mean, at least that's what the Google search just gave me. You know, and that's what I'm saying is we have all of these things at our fingertips and we don't even know how to use it. We're not taught how to use it. Like, they don't want us to know how to use our technology properly. They want us distracted. They want us constantly at each other's throats for whatever reason, because it breeds engagement. Stop engaging. Disengage. There's no reason to constantly be there. I mean, that's why I'm so happy I found this community, because we just goof off and play. Like, sure, I talk sometimes and I get heated and all of this, but I'm not doing it to depress people. I'm trying to find solutions to the problems. You know, I mean, that's what I'm trying to do. It's like, hey, people are anxious. People have these problems. Why? I want to find out why. I want to give answers. I don't want to come up with more questions. If that's anything that I dislike about CoffeeZilla, is that he's always complaining about a problem. He's never talking about the solution. Like, there's got to be a way to use cryptocurrency properly, to where it's actually useful for people. And NFTs, I mean, this technology isn't bad. It's just not being properly used. That's what I want to get. I mean, I want to start these things. Right. And honestly, what I think is that, you know, use them like stocks and bonds. You have a certain amount of cryptocurrency. If the value goes up too high, or if the value starts dropping too low, you lock up a bunch of that cryptocurrency in an NFT. When the value starts skyrocketing a little bit too much, you release some more of that so it brings it back down. You control your inflation on your cryptocurrency, so it actually has a stable value, rather than, you know, oh, hey, I ordered a pizza and I just gave the guy a $2,000 tip, because by the time he went back and cashed it, it fluctuated too wildly. That's why I can't trust cryptocurrency. But it's not that complicated. It's what we've been doing for generations. It's how we control our own funds. If we used it properly, that's what bonds are for. Bonds are, you pay out and agree to lock up a certain amount of your money. I'm not even talking about numbers. Like, this thing is just like, you say you buy a $200 bond. You agree to lock it up for, say, like 20 years. And when it cashes out, you've made 50% on top of it. You know, per year or whatever. You know, I mean, just look into bonds. There's all sorts of ways, lots of money, but you have a minimum. What I'm talking about is, like with NFTs, you agree to lock up, or not NFTs, the NFT cryptocurrency hand in hand, is you lock up a certain amount of your cryptocurrency into this NFT. Because it's all on the blockchain, it's all right there to be used. You can see it, it's all right there on the public ledger. So you know that this money's locked up. And you get a 5 to 10% accrual over a year. So that when that NFT drops out and drops your money back into the market, it's still your money. You've just now got 5% extra on it. Sure, this creates a certain amount of inflation, but the next person down the line does it again. You know, or you just re-roll it back in so that by the time you retire, you're a millionaire. You don't have to work. You know, that's the point of all of these investments. You know, it's not a get rich quick. It's get rich eventually. You know, not only that, it's much more secure. It's why I can't understand why a lot of these YouTubers and Twitch streamers that are making so much money, why are you still doing it? You literally have enough money to retire for the rest of your life. All you're doing is locking up the attention. You've inflated the attention in economics, You know, talking to you, Asmongold, talking to you, Hassan, you've inflated it, but you're not cashing out. You're not releasing those funds to the rest of the people. Well, I'm not even saying these people are bad, but they're locking it all up so that there's no room for anybody else. Right, Matt Pat retired. You know, Markiplier isn't as often doing it anymore because he's doing so many other things. What, Asmongold is on 6 times a week, 7 times a week, same with Hassan. They are literally so starved for attention that they're afraid what's gonna happen. Mostly family blogging, but also just talking about various different tech stuff. PewDiePie was the smartest one of them all. He's living his life. You know, and he's living in such a way that he's basically gonna retire, and he's younger than I am. He won't have to work again for the rest of his life. You know, I mean, these other creators should be investing people behind them. You know, stepping aside and leaving room. This is the problem with capitalism. This is the problem with these corporations. Our creators are doing the same thing. Average creator lifespan is about 10 years. Step away after 10 years because you've got more money than you know what to do with, especially if you prudently invested. I think those are absolute garbage because they're not actually investing in the next one or behind. They're just siphoning off of them. They're not making room for anybody new. They're just saying, okay, you get to use our branding, but it's still our money. You know, probably the same thing Matt Pat did, to be honest. Because he created those channels. Sure, he probably doesn't take as much, but it's still taking. You know, I used to really admire Mythical. I used to really admire Smosh, even though I didn't really see much of them, because they kind of stepped back. Rhett and Link stepped back for, what, 5 years? And then they came back to the top. Well, they keep talking about how it's the algorithm, you know, you just got to get caught up in the algorithm. How can I get caught up in the algorithm when Mr. Beast has 300 million followers? How can I even get a percentage of that? You know, if I had 1% of Mr. Beast, 1% of Markiplier's, hell, I'd take that. I don't like Mr. Beast either. I think it's complete bullshit that he's one of the most popular YouTubers ever, creators ever. I think he's been bot farmed for way too long. I think people don't realize how fake that whole industry is around him. You know, it's just like Hollywood. It's just like old school publishing. You know, you ever wonder how old school books got on the New York Times bestseller list before they were even released? How did they become a bestseller when they haven't been released? Because the publishing companies guarantee a certain amount of books to be sold. So they buy the books, basically reserve them to be bought. Yeah, because the publishing companies buy the books enough to make it onto the New York Times bestseller list. It's advertising. The only problem is they don't release those books that they reserve. In fact, they're probably never even paid for. Right, it literally means absolutely nothing anymore. It's the same thing with, like, you know, the theory channels. They don't really mean anything anymore. Because it's not Matt Pat. That's exactly what I'm saying, Infinite, is that it is being bought. See, and that's fine, you know? You branch out into several channels for charity, and then you just step back and retire. Once you reach a certain level of sustainability, just retire. Because all you're doing now is gatekeeping the people behind you. Well, tell me your theory, or was that just a joke? Oh, of course they are. In fact, that's baked into YouTube. You can literally pay for them. Like, I can pay to be advertised on YouTube. The only problem is for small creators, that's been proven to be an absolute idiotic idea because you get this quick hit of attention and all the subscriptions that happen during that time. Oh, I guarantee it. It's the same reason why they don't crack down on the bots. I probably do. Green jeans. But I guarantee you they are. I guarantee you just like that. Just like I guarantee through Twitch. I mean, come on. Well, not just that, but I mean the bot views. Like, I guarantee you every major creator bot views. Why did it look like I glitched? I guarantee you. I won't. I think they did. Well, okay. Bam, I think they should have bammed him, but whatever. But what does it matter? Oh, only temporarily? I just think, like, the whole creator economy, don't even get me started on TikTok. That is such a fake platform. Like, I'm not even talking about the brain rot. I'm just talking about the engagement farming and everything you get out of it is all fake. See, because here's the little dirty secret they don't tell you, is that if they actually break down on bots and cut them out and get rid of them, each platform loses a percentage of views. Whether it's TikTok, Twitch, who cares? They lose a certain percentage of views, which means they lose a percentage of advertiser revenue. Well, it's not even do anything interesting. Your brain doesn't record it. You have to keep going back. Like, it's legitimately ruining your short form. No, I mean, and trust me, I know I could build a much bigger platform if I use short form media. I refuse to. I made the mistake early on with, clipping a jump scare and I put it up on the channel. I wish I had never done that. Right. I mean, people can't focus. And they're chasing these children that don't care. Like, I don't understand why these creators are trying to chase these, teenagers to early 20-somethings that all they're going to do is want extreme content. Quick, fast, hurry, extreme content, flashing lights, subway surfers, blaring music, flashing lights because they're toddlers who can't friggin' think. Like, their brains just won't think. Why do we say that, people's brains don't mature until they're 25? Because we stopped letting them mature. We keep feeding them applesauce to the brain. What's going to happen? Their jaw's never going to develop. They can't get a good bite on anything with their brain. I know that's kind of a weird mixed metaphor, but you get what I mean. you know, you're an old man or a young kid in brain. I think it pisses me off because we keep changing what it means to be an adult. Honestly, we need to take everything back to 18. Well, yeah, because we weren't allowed to mature. Oh my God, did you see how old they used to look? Yeah, but they also had families, they had jobs, and they had a house. I mean, by 27, my dad was on his second house. He was building the second one, he just built the first one, then he bought the second one. Long story short, you know, his father and father-in-law got into an argument over the building of the house and ended up not meeting code, so they had to sell the property, and it was a sunk value of the house. It's literally where my generational wealth went. Like, we were actually building up, doing pretty good, but my two grandpas arguing over how to build a house made it not up to code, and it just had to be destroyed. So, you know, my dad's nest egg that he... Bonda? I don't know what Bonda is. You're gonna have to give me some more information. I'm pretty sure I can pick it up pretty quick. Either that or else it's a typo. Oh, bonds? Okay. It was a typo. Tell me, what? I don't even know if you can invest in small amounts of bonds anymore. Like, you used to be able to invest in like $25 bonds, $50 bonds, you know, and they were meant to be bought early and given to grandkids because that's about the time they'd mature because they're like 40, 50 year old. I'm not sure if there's a way to recover bonds. You can recover lost, stolen, or destroyed paper savings bonds by submitting an FS Form 1048 to the Treasury Department. You can request a replacement in electric form or cash the bonds if they have matured. You will need to provide the Social Security number, name, and approximate issue date of the bonds. So yes, you can. Use the government treasury hunt tool to identify if your bonds are lost or matured. Then you fill out the FS 1048. So you'd have to have your, like I said, approximate. Because if they haven't matured yet, you have an approximate idea of when they were made. Like if it was your grandparents and they bought them, you know, 20 years ago when you were still a toddler. Well, no, you, okay. Well, if you figure 35, were they bought when you were born or relatively close to that? So that's down the road. You can figure out a rough time period. Well, guess I'm not going to sneeze. I thought I was. So there is a way to recover them. I didn't sneeze. I thought I was going to. Clouds push the pollens in and make me allergy. I would get in touch with people that might know rough ideas. Also, you probably would have to know the name they were bought in. You know, you'd have to have some paperwork and stuff like that to recover them. Shouldn't be that hard. But also remember that, unless your family member had a lot of money, bought them in your name and stuff. Oh, I'm twitchy. I move. I wasn't even trying to dance. It's just what I do. It's why I have the sit-stand desk, so I can move around. I've always been a fidgety person. That doesn't mean they didn't necessarily have money to invest in bonds. I mean, sometimes farmers made a lot of money and they'd hid it. Bonds were a great place to hide it. And farmers knew a lot about the long view. Well, if they're 40-year bonds, well, they'd be 30-year bonds. So my guess would be is they were probably between 25 and 30-year bonds if they're maturing when you're 35. So they bought them for you between the ages of 5 and 10. I'm just going off the information you gave me. Because bonds, there's certain rates at which they mature. Bonda, I barely know you. Remember, you can always sue for it. Right. Oh, I know about inheritance issues. My wife's mother died before her mother. And so in the will of my wife's grandmother, because my wife's mom died first, my wife was elevated to a full, child share rather than just a grandkid share. And we got the grandkid share and we didn't fight it because we didn't feel like going through probate. And that was in the grandmother's will. So, yeah, we lost a lot. We lost something like a magnitude order of 10 of the money. Whoa, that's a hazy area then. If you weren't your own guardian, you may not have been able to enter into that agreement. Well, if you were still under state guardianship, if you were still under state guardianship, you can actually have the state go after if that's technically the case. I'm not positive. But that's something that you can do because you were a state ward of the state. Yeah, instead of $8,000, we were supposed to get something closer to 80. Because there was only 3 siblings, but there were over 10 grandkids. It's probably gone. I mean, to be perfectly honest, it's probably gone. Or he's locked it up so that when he dies, it gets... See, that's the hard part about inheritance. Especially with a husband and spouse. Especially with spouses. If one dies before the other, it's automatic that it reverts to the spouse. Whatever inheritance, whatever anything. Unless there is a will. But even then, people have to say, use the will. Right. But if there's a will that, your mom left, there should be something there. But I will say also, did you earn any of that? Like here's something to help keep it in perspective. Yes, it sucks. Don't get me wrong. When money is left to you, it's supposed to be yours, blah, blah, blah. But the truth is, did you earn any of it? No. Should you get it by dint of just being someone's child? Adopted or not? Like, it's not your money. It's money that's given to you. Well, did you earn the farm? I'm not trying to be mean here. I'm just saying put it in perspective. You know, it's always how I felt about inheritance. Sure, we want to leave stuff to our kids. Sure, we wish our parents were able to leave something to us. But it's not really ours. Just because we're family. No, yes, Andy, I totally understand. I'm just trying to say, if it's lost, put it in perspective. Like, always appreciate what you're given, but don't feel it's owed to you. Like, if you can fight for it, it's owed to you. Well, yeah. If it's owed to you, like through a will, you can fight that. But just keep it in perspective that it's not really yours. It's given to you. It's a gift. It's not really something, you know, like if this was a job, you earned your paycheck and they're just not paying you, hell yeah, fight to the teeth. Chocolate covered olives. Oh my God. My sister-in-law pranked me and it kind of backfired on her. She made dark chocolate covered garlic cloves. Now, I wouldn't go out of my way to eat them again. I've had worse food. Hi, meow meow. Give me 1 second. Oh, all right. You know I was going to try to put you on camera. Yep. I was going to try, but she bolted. Sorry. Yeah, she gone. I was going to try to pick her up and show her off, but she's like, you're going to put me in front of camera. Nope. But as soon as I shut this camera, yeah, she said no. And I'm not going to push it. Like, if she sat there and let me pick her up, I knew she was okay with it. But as soon as this is, you know, I shut this down and I, you know, sit here, she's going to be on the ottoman that's right next to me where her bed is, that she'll sit down and she'll be just right there wanting pets. She'll put her paws up on the desk looking at me. Dad, what pets? Right? Because wills have to be filed with the court. And you only have so much time, too. Well, there you go. Now, there's sealed wills. So if your grandma or... I think you only have so much time. Once it's through probate, once everything's distributed, it's too late. You only have so much time. That's why, you know, the wife and I waited until it was all the way through probate before we even asked questions of why she had been cut out. Because, like the wife said, like I just told you guys, oh yeah, it's probably way too late. International trust with specific rules and barriers, yes. That's another good way to do it, Green Jeans. Grandma. Right. Well, then with these being like what you just said, they'd be public domain. You can ask for a Freedom of Information Act about these wills. You can see the copies because they've already been unsealed. You couldn't ask for your dad's because his is probably still sealed because he's still alive. But anything that goes through a court system is public record. Right. Now, that's also barring that he may not have sealed the will. And just because you're a child doesn't mean you have... Right. Doesn't mean you have... right to see it. Right? 89? It's pretty good. I think my grandpa was still breaking horses at 88. He broke his tailbone. Meow. Yeah, you just want to sit and watch. All right, that's fine. You won't even let me pet you. I'll live as long as I can. I'll break records if I can. I mean, but I'm also not going to go to Herculean measures to live a super long time. Like, I'm just going to keep going as long as I can go and enjoy my life. You know, I've said I'd be immortal if they'd let me. I love life. I love the world. I love seeing what's going on. No, I am not going to go. No, that just seems so predatory. Yeah, that sounds about right. My family, it's about 90s also. Barring some accident or barring just being a unhealthy mess like my dad. You know, that guy was unhealthy his whole life. Like, I'm overweight, but I'm still active. You know, I still work out every other day at least. Most of the time, it's every day. 5 days a week. I still... Well, they do, but see, you also have to learn that keeping... You want to know the best thing for Alzheimer's? Learn something new every day. Even if it's just reading the dictionary and learning words you don't know. Going on Wikipedia and basically spin the wheel, so to speak, and just find a random page and read about it. See? And that's what gets people. Routines. You get stuck in that rut and you can't get out of it. Like, trust me, I love my habits. I love my routines. But my God, do I kick myself out of them. I have to. Like, I mean, I won't kick myself out of this routine of, you know, streaming 5 nights a week. Okay, you know what? Pardon my language. Fuck electronic menus. How freaking lazy are you? That you can't provide me with a paper menu because you want to be able to change your menu up whenever you want or change the prices whenever you want, regardless of what it costs you to make the item. Fuck you. Pardon my language again, but fuck you. That's BS. Sure, an electronic tablet for the waitress to take your order so it can go directly back to the kitchen, but make me use a QR code? Yeah, and we also got good immune systems from it. You know, that's the problem with making your world too clean. You weaken your immune system. I mean, there's a certain balance you gotta make, yes. And stop going to the restaurant then. When they ask you why you're not going anymore, well, because your menus are dirty. You know, and it's also really easy for a restaurant to have printout slide in. So all you have to do is just wipe the menu down. Well, yes, immunocompromised people, yeah, but are we gonna save the world for the immunocompromised? Like, I sympathize. My sister's one of them. I really do sympathize. But we can't baby-proof the world because you can't handle everything. Like, it's not our responsibility to take care of you. We can do what measures we can, but at a certain point, you're asking too much. You know, it's like how so many places took peanuts off the menu. And it made it our fault that they're allergic to peanuts. It's not my fault. You know, and like I said, I have sympathy for immunocompromised, but how far do you go? You do what you can. You clean what you can. You take care of what you can. But we can't change the whole world because of a handful. Because immunocompromised people don't even make up, what, 10% of the population? I mean, it sounds rude and it sounds mean, I know. Right, touchscreen. Like, I get that we're worried about sickness. Honestly, that's probably happier for him because he doesn't get all the stupid notifications. But for the most part, I don't use my phone for anything but a phone. And I check my email. I don't really like smartphones. I don't really see a point to them. I occasionally listen to music through mine. I totally miss ones with buttons. Tactile response. I miss that tactile response. It's why I have a mechanical keyboard. And I'm sorry, Infinite, I know I came across harsh, but I've heard so much about having to change for every little problem people have that it gets to be ridiculous. I can't have corn. Should I protest to the government to get rid of corn out of everything? No corn tortillas, no corn chips, no corn syrup, no corn this, no corn that? No, that's my problem. I take care of my problem. I'm not making it everybody else's problem. Yeah, texting on dumb phones was difficult. That meant you needed to use it. You needed to make that text. Now people text every little stupid little thought in their head that people don't need to know. Like, why are you broadcasting all of this out there for other people? Right. I mean, I'm sorry, but we need to learn that we can't make our problems the world's problems. That's the only way we can live in peace with each other. Like, I get it. I've had friends with PTSD, former military. 4th of July was a very quiet holiday. I'll tell you that much. Which is fine. I actually don't think people should have fireworks. I don't think the average person should have them. I think we need to make it completely illegal for people to shoot off their own fireworks. Well, they are a trip. Like, I get being immunocompromised. I get having allergies. I mean, my nephew, I couldn't cook anything with eggs or garlic if he comes over with it. Sorry, I couldn't cook anything with eggs or garlic in the pans I was going to use within the week if he was coming over. Right? Like, there's certain music that does that to me too, Andy. I don't remember it off the top of my head, but I'm not going to make it somebody else's problem. I just remove myself from the situation. People come out and ask why I'm standing outside. It's like, oh, because I didn't like the music. Oh, did you want us to turn on something else? If you want to. I just do my best not to make it somebody else's problem. Unless I absolutely have to. Like, if I'm going over to somebody's house to eat, and they ask me if I have any special requests, I say, well, just don't put corn in it. Yeah, exactly. You can't remove yourself from the situation, so you politely ask. There's certain country songs I can't stand. There's certain rap songs I can't stand for reasons. But 99% of the time, that never comes up. I have PTSD with other people driving. I don't generally let other people drive. My wife, she can drive anytime she wants. My kids, I trained them. I trust them. Me? Otherwise, I don't let anybody else drive. I drive. You know, as many problems as I had with my dad. Damn Skippy, I'll let him drive. My mom? Nope, I got that for you. And I have to I have to know my friends a long time before I let them drive. Not even my car. If we're going somewhere, I'll drive. If I see they're driving, or like, I'll follow you. And I'll follow and I'll watch their driving. Because it's really hard for me to trust other drivers. Really hard. I don't know how many times I've been in such close accidents and it was close because I was able to move us out of the way from passenger seat. I don't know what it is. I have some kind of sixth sense my dad trained in me when he trained me how to drive. I mean, I was literally going through Tacoma, and my muscle car spun out. It hydroplaned. Now, the Tacoma has these S curves. We're all going about 55, 60, and my car 360s. Through 4 lanes of traffic, I managed to recover it going the right way and bring it back on the road. I went through 4 lanes of traffic, still managed to get on my exit without hitting one person. I have, in that same area, mind you, was driving, and I watched somebody else do 360, like just for some, or not a 360, but a complete 90-degree turn. The wrong way. Like, I have no idea what happened, but their car was going this way, and then all of a sudden it was going this way. And he managed to slide through so much traffic, and I just managed to just drift around him. I was driving across, because my wife was talking to me. And we were just talking while we were driving. And we were talking about, no, I almost wore my seat cover home, though, because I had to be able to remove it because there was pucker power. I was sealed to that seat, but I did not wear the brown pants that day. We were sitting there talking, and she was asking me how I was able to drive so well. Oh, you're supposed to be laughing. You're supposed to be laughing. That was some pucker power. I had suction. And yes, you're supposed to be laughing. I wouldn't say it that way if I didn't want you to laugh. We were sitting there talking, and she was asking how I learned to drive the way I do. And I said, my dad said something a long time ago when he was teaching me how to drive. And I explained, he told me, learn how to see around corners. I don't think he intended for me to take it as seriously. I think he was trying to be facetious, but I learned to see headlights in the corners. So like if you're driving on a lonely dark road, I learned how to see the headlights that were going to be coming around the corner and judge where that car is going to be by where the beams were moving along the tree line or along the road or whatnot. So I learned to be able to tell if they were going to be in my lane or not, and stuff like this, and I told her, it's like, and it's gotten to be almost a sixth sense. I know when somebody's going to do something stupid, and an opportunity right at that moment presented itself. We were driving down, and I pointed to this car, and I'm like, see that car? They're going to run. They're going to run that stop sign. And I moved a lane over. Or no, I moved a lane in. And she's like, why did you move a lane in if they're going to? And she watches as they come out into the far lane. So I would just completely missed them because I was in the near lane. Because they went out to the far lane. Because I knew that's what they were going to do. I don't know how I knew. I just knew. And it was this perfect moment to go, that's what they're going to do. I can see it right now. And I was able to get us out of the way of the accident. No honking needed. Like on their part or my part. Like we didn't even seem to be in an accident. But if I had stayed going the way I was going, we would have hit each other. I am almost out of water. Which means it's about that time, folks. Well, we've ranged pretty far and wide, but I think we managed to stay on a fairly consistent topic about just trying to express ourselves honestly, with intention, but with decorum. You know, you can't just say screw other people's feelings. Trust me, you shouldn't do that. You won't have too many friends. I don't have too many friends. But you also shouldn't lie to people about who you are. Sure, there's certain people you just have to. Family that you can't get away from? Yeah, sure. You know, roommates that you have to stick around? Yeah, you got to use some decorum, no matter how much you want to just tell them to stuff it and walk away. Remember, I lived in a house of 11 roommates, so yeah, I learned decorum. I also learned how to throw one of my roommates out the front door. Real quick, too. And I called CPS on his ass. He used to lock his... I didn't know it at the time until I found out that he was locking his child in the closet. So yeah, he ended up getting arrested. The closet? No. Oh, the door? Yes. I wasn't gonna break the door. It was a nice door. But there was a 6-inch deep divot in the. But yeah, like I said, there was a 6-inch deep divot in the front yard from where he landed. Probably a stage play, 12 people in one large flat. I hope so. I know that the mother got the kid after that, but he was the one that was originally awarded custody of the child, so that tells you what state the mother may have been in. I do know that she went to rehab, and I hope it stuck. I also know that for a lot of people, rehab takes 2 or 3 times. Right. See, and that's one thing that we always... You know what? That's something to end on. I did mean to end on that. Remember, we are all here against our will. We did not ask to be born. As far as we know. But, just take that as a basic thing. We don't get to choose the life we have. Well, there's a possibility they ended up in a good group home. Yeah. There is. But remember that we didn't choose to be here. We didn't choose to be born to the life we were born into. And that kind of trauma sticks with us all our life. And we have to remember that in the long run, it's better to treat other people as if they're here by duress. Meaning that they're not in front of us willingly. Whether that's driving down the road and somebody cuts you off. 9 times out of 10, it's not intentional. Or you're at a restaurant or calling somebody on the phone. They didn't choose to be there. It's just what they have to do. Take it always with that level. They didn't choose to be there. And understand that, hey, maybe they didn't choose to be here, but you also didn't choose to be here. So try and be nicer for them. Treat them as you would want to be treated. If you don't like it, don't do it to someone else. Simple as that. That's the best advice I can give anyone. If they eventually ask you to do something that you necessarily wouldn't like, but they want you to do that, treat them that way, that's fine. You learn their boundaries. But outside of that, you treat everybody with your boundaries. Pizza raccoon is on last slice. You didn't save me any? Andy, that's rude. That is very rude. But anyway, love y'all guys. I'll see you tomorrow night. I think Ghost is streaming tomorrow morning at 9 Central Time. So I hope to see you guys there. I hope to see me there. I might not be. Bye-bye. And always, always have fun. That's an order. Have fun. Got it? Everybody? Have fun.